I never thought hitting 100 subs would feel this good. It was a small number, sure, but for me, it was huge. I made myself a cheap celebratory dinner, microwave ramen with an egg on top, plus a can of soda I'd been saving. I even recorded a goofy little thank you video for my channel, promising I'd keep making better content. I was happy, actually happy, in a way I hadn't been in months. I spent the next hour scrolling through comments and refreshing my channel page, watching the little number bounce between 100 and 101 like a heartbeat. It was perfect. But then, I noticed something strange. The internet was buzzing more than usual. Twitter was trending with some weird tag. #TheSadnessIRL. At first I laughed. I thought it was just movie fans making memes. My timeline was full of dumb edits and jokes about people smiling like lunatics. One tweet showed a shaky video of a guy on a subway grinning too wide. He grabbed someone's arm, whispering something I couldn't hear, and everyone in the comments was debating if it was staged or not. I kept scrolling. Another clip. A woman in a grocery store laughing at the top of her lungs while throwing cans of soup at strangers. Again, people swore it was fake, just promo for some indie horror. I didn't think much of it. I was still too happy, riding the high of my tiny milestone. I leaned back, sipping soda, watching my subscriber count. Everything felt normal, until my phone buzzed with a strange emergency alert. Not a loud one, just a quiet vibration. A single message. Warning: local disturbances reported. Avoid large gatherings. Report unusual violent behavior. Felt weirdly vague, almost like a glitch. I stared at it, confused, then shrugged it off. Because why would I care? I had 100 subscribers. Life was finally going right. For now. I woke up the next morning still grinning. I hadn't even dreamed, just slept like a rock. First thing I did was roll out of bed and check my channel. 102 subscribers. I fist pumped like a little kid. 2 more. Overnight. For a second I wondered if this was the beginning, like maybe I'd wake up tomorrow and it would be 200, then 1,000, then who knows. I made some coffee, opened my blinds, and sat down to brainstorm new video ideas. The world outside looked totally normal. Kids walking to school, a guy jogging, even the mailman whistling down the street. It almost felt like my channel's tiny success had made everything brighter. But when I opened Twitter, that weird tag was still trending. #TheSadnessIRL. I rolled my eyes. People can't let a joke die, huh? This time, though, it wasn't just shaky clips. News outlets were posting about isolated violent incidents in multiple cities, always with the same description. People suddenly snapping, grinning too wide, and going after strangers. I scrolled past it, didn't want the bad vibes ruining my good day. Instead, I went live for a short stream, thanking everyone again for 100 subs. Some of the chat messages were normal. "Congrats, dude. You earned it. Keep grinding." But a few stood out. "Don't go outside today. It's spreading, bro. Look out your window." I laughed them off, thinking it was just trolls trying to be creepy. Classic internet. Still, curiosity got me. I turned my webcam toward the window for a second, showing the street outside. Everything was normal. Normal, except for one man. He was standing across the road, perfectly still, just staring up at my window with a smile stretched too wide across his face. I tried to make a joke out of it on stream, saying, "Looks like I've got my first real-life fan." The chat exploded with laughing emojis. But even after I turned the camera back, I couldn't stop thinking about that grin. I ended the stream after about an hour, still smiling like an idiot. It felt good, chat was supportive, I got a few new subs, and I even had someone donate $2. For a small channel, that was like winning the lottery. I closed my laptop and leaned back, sipping the last of my coffee. The sun was high, the birds were loud, and everything felt fine. But then I remembered the man. I peeked through the blinds, half expecting him to still be there, still smiling. He wasn't. The street was empty except for a delivery truck rumbling by. I told myself it was nothing, just some random guy waiting for a ride, or maybe a neighbor I hadn't noticed before. Still, something about the way he stared stuck in my brain. To shake it off, I decided to treat myself. I grabbed my wallet and walked to the corner store for some snacks. Chips, a soda, maybe even a candy bar. I told myself, you're a YouTuber now. Celebrate. The walk there felt normal enough. Kids still laughed on the playground. Cars honked. Someone's dog barked at me like I was trespassing. For a moment, I wondered if the hashtag #TheSadnessIRL thing really was just fake after all. The internet loved a good hoax. Inside the store, I grabbed a bag of chips and a pack of gummy worms. The cashier, a tired-looking college kid, gave me a half-smile. Nothing unusual. Then the door jingled. A man walked in, business suit, messy hair, clutching a briefcase. His grin was too wide. My chest tightened instantly. It looked just like the clips I'd scrolled past online. He strolled up to the counter, humming a tune like a kid skipping rope. His eyes darted between me and the cashier. "Good morning," he said, voice dripping with fake cheer. "Isn't it a beautiful day?" The cashier froze, hand hovering over the register. I felt my stomach knot. The man's smile didn't move. His teeth looked sharp. Or maybe it was just the way the store lights hit them. I paid for my snacks as quickly as I could, practically throwing bills at the counter. "Have a nice day," the man sang as I left. His voice echoed in my head all the way home. When I got back, I sat in front of my computer, staring at the screen. My channel said 110 subscribers. I should have been happy, but I couldn't stop thinking about his smile. Sat at my desk, staring at the 110 glowing on my screen. It should have made me feel proud. Instead, it felt like a countdown. That's when the first scream ripped through the street. I ran to the window. At first, I thought it was a car accident. A woman was lying on the sidewalk, clutching her leg. Blood pooled under her. But then I saw the man standing over her. He wasn't helping. He was laughing. His face was twisted with pure joy as he stomped down on her ribs. The sound cracked sharp and wet, but he didn't stop. He cheered with every crunch, like a child breaking ice on a frozen pond. Others stopped to watch, not to help, to laugh. One woman pulled out her phone, filming as she whispered things I couldn't hear. Then, without warning, she swung the phone like a rock, smashing it into the bleeding woman's face until the screen shattered. I stumbled back from the blinds, heart racing. It was happening, just like the movie. The laughter rose outside, layered, overlapping. Neighbors shouting jokes, giggling, squealing as if this was the best day of their lives. Someone pounded on a door across the street, chanting, "Come out! Come out! Don't hide from the fun!" A window shattered. Glass rained down on the pavement. More screams followed, real screams this time, choked with agony. Couldn't breathe. My mind kept flashing back to the clips online. People grinning, people playing with their victims. And now it wasn't a video. It was right outside my home. Then bang. Someone slammed against my front door. I froze. The knock wasn't frantic. It wasn't desperate. It was playful. 3 slow, mocking taps. And a sing-song voice followed. "I know you're in there, streamer boy." The pounding at my door didn't stop. The voice kept singing, cheerful and wrong, like a nursery rhyme. I grabbed the closest thing I had for protection, a kitchen knife. My hands shook, but some part of me whispered, "If you don't fight, you're dead." The banging moved away. The voices outside grew louder, spreading down the block. I knew I couldn't stay here. I cracked the back window, slipped into the alley, and ran. The air smelled of iron and smoke. Screams echoed from every direction, mixed with laughter. I saw bodies on the ground, torn open. People crouched over them, grinning with blood all over their faces. I tried not to look. Every street was worse. A man in a baseball cap was straddling another guy, bashing his skull into the pavement while chanting, "Smile for me, smile for me." His victim wasn't moving anymore. The killer just kept going, chuckling with each hit. I ducked behind a dumpster, trying to breathe quietly. That's when I saw her. A girl about my age. No smile. No blood on her. Just wide, terrified eyes. She spotted me, and for a second, I felt relief. Another survivor. She whispered, "We need to stick together." Then she lunged. Not with a grin, not with laughter. Just raw desperation. She clawed at my arm, trying to grab the knife from me. Her face twisted with panic, but something about her eyes. It wasn't innocent. It was hungry. I shoved her off, but she came again, screaming. I panicked and drove the knife into her neck. She went stiff, choking on blood. For a moment, I wanted to scream with her, but then something broke inside me. As she collapsed, gasping, a horrible rush filled my chest. A heat, power. The street echoed with laughter. I realized it wasn't just the virus. It wasn't just them. It was in me now, too. I looked at the blade dripping red. My hands stopped shaking, and I started smiling. I stood over the girl's body, breathing hard. The grin spread across my face without me even realizing it. But when I caught my reflection in a broken window, my smile wasn't like theirs. It wasn't infected. It was me. I wasn't hearing voices. I wasn't laughing like a lunatic. I was calm, cold, and yet, the rush of killing her still hummed through me like electricity. That's when I understood. I wasn't infected. I was immune. The virus couldn't touch me, but killing gave me the same high the others had. Except mine wasn't madness. It was clarity. I moved through the streets with a steady heartbeat, watching chaos unfold. A man tore a stop sign from the ground, swinging it through a crowd like it was a toy. A woman skipped barefoot across broken glass, humming as she painted a wall red with someone's blood. They were all insane. I wasn't. That gave me an edge. I found a small group of survivors hiding in a laundromat. 6 of them, huddled together, whispering plans. They didn't notice me at first. I slipped inside like a shadow, knife still warm in my hand. "Are you normal?" one of them asked, voice shaking. "You're not smiling, are you? Safe?" I nodded, and for a second they believed me. But the way they looked at me, pleading, desperate, made me sick. They weren't fighters. They were prey waiting to be slaughtered. I shut the door behind me. The click echoed like a gunshot. Their eyes went wide. I smiled my smile. Not the infected grin, but something colder. "Don't worry," I whispered. "I'm not like them." And then I moved. The knife slid into the first man's chest before he could scream. Another tried to run, but I dragged him back, slamming his face against a dryer until his skull cracked. Blood sprayed across spinning laundry, painting it pink as the machine whirled. The others wailed, begged, cursed me. I didn't laugh. I didn't gloat. I just worked. By the time it was over, the laundromat was silent except for the hum of machines and the drip of blood. I wiped the blade clean on a torn shirt and looked at myself again in the glass. I wasn't infected. I was worse, because I chose this. I stepped out of the laundromat and into the ruined street, the smell of iron thick in the air. My shoes were wet with blood, but I didn't bother wiping them. A group of infected noticed me instantly. 3 of them, 2 men and a woman, smiling so hard their faces looked ready to split. Their clothes were shredded, dripping red. One had a screwdriver jammed into his own arm like it was decoration. They saw me. They should have rushed me, but they didn't. The woman cocked her head, smile faltering for the briefest second. Her laugh came out shaky, like she didn't know if she should. The 2 men shuffled closer, circling, but their grins weakened. I stared at them without fear, without trembling. And that's when I realized. They could tell. I wasn't prey. I wasn't one of them either. I was something else. One of the men lunged anyway, swinging a broken bottle. I caught his wrist mid-swing, twisting until the bone snapped with a wet pop. His laugh cracked into a scream, and the others froze. I didn't stop. I drove the knife up under his jaw, feeling it tear through flesh and out the back of his skull. He twitched once, then collapsed. The woman shrieked. Not in joy, but in fear. She backed away. The last man didn't even try to fight. He just turned and ran, laughing high-pitched and hollow like he was pretending for his own safety. I stood alone in the street, dripping with his friend's blood. That was the first time it happened. The infected were afraid of me. and it lit something inside me I didn't know I had. For hours I stalked the ruins of my city, moving from block to block. Survivors screamed when they saw me. The infected scattered, whispering to each other in twisted voices. By the time the sun set, I wasn't thinking about my YouTube channel anymore. I wasn't thinking about 100 subs or milestones. I was thinking about how far this could go. Because if I was the only one immune, then I wasn't just surviving this. I was going to rule it. The city burned through the night. Sirens wailed and then went silent one by one. The laughter never stopped. It drifted from the alleys, from rooftops, from shadowy doorways, like a twisted lullaby. And I walked through it untouched. The infected didn't swarm me anymore. They watched. Their eyes followed me, smiles twitching, hands twitching on their weapons. Some muttered things under their breath, snapping between giggles and curses, but they didn't attack. It was like animals recognizing something stronger. I tested it. I found a survivor at dawn, a man waving down cars on the highway, begging for help. His shirt was torn, his face streaked with dirt and blood. When he saw me, his eyes lit up like I was salvation. Thank God, you're normal, right? You're not one of them? Please, man, my wife, I shoved him down and held the knife to his throat. His words broke into panic sobs. I waited, and sure enough, 3 infected emerged from the treeline. Their faces lit up at the sight of prey. But then they saw me. They stopped, grinned nervously. One of them even clapped her hands like a child showing respect. None dared step closer. I dragged the knife across the man's chest, just shallow enough to make him scream. The infected trembled with desire. They wanted him. They wanted the kill. But they wouldn't move, because I was in control. I let him run. He stumbled, bloody and wailing, straight toward them. The infected tore him apart in seconds, their laughter filling the air like applause. I stood there watching, smiling, not like them but my own smile, calculated, sharp. When they were done, one of them actually looked up at me, blood running down her chin, and she bowed. That was the moment I knew. The infected weren't my enemies anymore. They were my audience. I wasn't surviving their world. I was shaping it. Days blurred together. I didn't count subscribers anymore. I didn't even check my phone. My audience had grown beyond anything the internet could measure. The infected followed me like shadows. Survivors ran from me like I was death itself. And somewhere deep down I knew it was true. I wasn't just immune. I was chosen. I ruled the city like a king in a nightmare kingdom. Until the night everything shattered. I woke up with my face pressed against cold linoleum. My chest heaved. My hands were empty. No knife, no blood, just trembling fingers. The hum of fluorescent lights buzzed above me. I was lying in the aisle of a supermarket. Half-empty shelves. Shopping carts left abandoned. The smell of spoiled milk and metal. No laughter. No screams. Just silence. I staggered to my feet, clutching my head. My vision swam. For a moment, I thought maybe I'd fainted, or passed out, or had the most vivid nightmare of my life. But when I caught my reflection in the freezer door, I froze. My eyes, they were red. I blinked, rubbed them. The redness didn't fade. My skin looked pale, veins darker than they should have been. My lips curved into a smile I didn't control. And then I remembered. The girl in the alley. The man on the highway. The infected bowing to me. It wasn't a dream. It was memory. My stomach dropped as the truth hit me. I wasn't immune. I was the first. The infection wasn't spreading to me, it was spreading from me. Patient zero. Somewhere in the store, a laugh echoed. Not mine. Not controlled. Others were here now, drawn to me, and as their footsteps closed in, my reflection in the glass smiled wider and wider until it split across my face. The laughter followed me through the supermarket aisles, echoing off the bare shelves. Not one voice, dozens. They crawled out of the shadows, smiling, bleeding, laughing like children at recess. The first wave of infected. My children. They didn't attack me. They surrounded me, like worshippers. A woman with half her jaw missing clapped her hands. shrieking with joy. A man dragging his intestines behind him bowed low, eyes glowing with twisted reverence. They knew. I wasn't prey. I wasn't a leader they chose. I was the reason they existed. I could feel it in my bones. My blood burned, humming with the same energy that twisted them into sadists. Patient zero. And I smiled. By the time I left the supermarket, the streets were chaos. Car alarms blared, fires chewed through storefronts, and everywhere, laughter. But something was different. They weren't all the same kind of infected anymore. Some were violent right away, tearing into anyone nearby. Others hid behind masks of normalcy until the perfect moment, then erupted into shrieking sadism. Some whispered, some sang. All of them traced back to me. I walked calmly through the madness. They parted from me like water, giggling, bowing, sometimes weeping with joy just to touch my arm before running off to kill. On a corner TV in an electronics store window, news anchors screamed about an outbreak unlike anything seen before. Videos of massacres flashed in rapid cuts. The words mass violence virus scrolled across the screen. The camera zoomed on one clip, grainy footage of me leaving the supermarket, shadows of infected trailing me. The anchor's voice cracked as she said, "This unidentified individual may be the origin of the infection." I laughed. Not like them, not manic, just a low, steady laugh. Because they were right. The world wasn't ending. It was just beginning.